Okay, I'm back with a YouTube video, and it's been a long time since I've done one of these because what the fuck has been the point in discussing the majority of what's been going on in the crypto markets? TradFi has been way more fun, crypto has been relatively boring, and hopefully we're on the cusp of some momentum to the upside. Okay, so I kind of want to just go through BTC, ETH, Sol, and kind of take a look at where we are. Maybe a few others, maybe not Sol. A little bit boring at the moment. Um, Higher time frame BTC is in a really, really good position through here. So we've had this grinding upwards movement where we get lots of back and forth after the very strong impulse that we've seen through this area here. We start to grind and kind of the price action begins to slow down, but still advancing to the upside. Then we do a little bit here of the corrective nature, and then the weekend has obviously slowed down dramatically into, pretty much lifeless market. But the really good sign from BTC's perspective is that the higher time frame, this is all in a really good position here. This is all in a really good, consolidated, ready for more position. And when you go to the higher time frames, 3-day, weekly, etc., it still just mirrors that we look like continuation. And what the rest of the market is looking at, which is why we've started with BTC, is the rest of the market is just looking for that green light. It's just saying, BTC, look, go ahead and make all-time highs, get into that price discovery mode again, start doing your thing, and then we'll have the confidence to join you and start pulling some moves as well. I think that this week genuinely could be one of those weeks where we see that momentum to the upside. So we're looking for BTC to show strength and to make that move into the upside and be one of the more impulsive moves that we've seen. And then we're looking for alts to kind of play along with that. And the clarity and the simplicity of that analysis is really where I want to leave it for BTC. Because I don't think there's any point in over-analyzing this. We've been stuck in basically a 3% range for the last however many days and weeks. And, all that we need to do now basically is to break clear of that. But nothing has changed in the higher time frame picture of BTC. We just get lost in the lower time frames when we enter 4 weeks of consolidation like we have done through here. So the chart still looks very good. And therefore we'll take a look at ETH instead. And ETH is also one of those charts in which I say looks good. Yes, historical performance, blah, 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 piece of shit, terrible market, why would you buy it? But I think that this level here is super easy, and that's what I'm all about, just that simplicity in the market. So what we have is the nice 12-hour level here around 2400, and we reclaimed it, and we've now spent the last 6 days just chopping on top of this level. I have no problem with that at all. Right, you chop on top of this level as support and you continue to hold it as support. I think that's an absolutely fine setup. So what we're doing here is just doing that consolidation piece. We're looking for maybe any run here, and then we're looking for movement to the upside. Again, I'm not going to set out any unrealistic targets for ETH. I mean, unrealistic for ETH could be 2,600. I'm not going to set out any kind of crazy upside targets because I think, this market is just one that you need to wait and see what the result is of this. But we know that ETH and we know that DeFi has certainly showed a little bit more demand previously, since that kind of end of May run that we had on everything. DeFi and ETH have actually been one of the stronger areas of the market. And yes, the consolidation here has been more choppy, and we've been in this range now for a considerable length of time. Even if we take from here to here, we're talking about 50 days in this range, and lots of back and forth price action, lots of potential for breakdown, lots of potential for breakouts, and really what we're doing if we take both sides of this is, we've got this now here and here. So we've got our resistance point above, we've got our support point below, we've had the failed breakout, we've had the failed breakdown, we're back inside the range, and continuation of the choppy conditions is really what we're faced with at this moment in time. But that being said, consolidating at the support level, more than fine to see that. Let's quickly do hype as well. Hype is a market which actually, is very, very good through here. We were talking about this in the Haven a little bit, actually, just to do with the market structure. And one of the questions was, where should I buy hype? And I think it was asked pretty much on this day here, maybe Saturday or the Friday. And the simple answer when you've got a market that looks like this and moves to this sort of market structure is that's what we rely on. So we have our high and we have our low. We have our fresh higher high here. And this area here is just our higher low. So we continue that uptrending structure here. We continue that market structure protection. We're protecting the low. We have a run down here, but the candle close is significantly higher. And this is the best risk reward that you are being afforded to enter a position like this, because when you're looking at this, you're entering here, you're having a stop loss on a break and a confirmed close below 30.65, and you're aiming for a fresh high again. Okay, very simple trading, very simple risk reward, and you're always going to get that when you're looking at market structure, especially on the higher time frames. You're always going to get that these higher low areas. So that is, for me, hype is still one of the stronger markets through here, with the clarity of the market structure that we have, and just looking for this push towards 50. And when we've been tagging into kind of like 46s and we've been hovering around that area, I can't see that round number of 50 isn't going to get run at some point in time. I think that just makes a lot of sense that area is going to end up getting run at a minimum through here. And we'll talk about Sol as I did kind of cover it off. And Sol largely just doing the same thing as ETH. This here is a very important weekly level for Sol around 130. We got the sell-off down through 130. We got the bounce, and now we've got the retest on the weekly level back into 130. So again, higher time frame, fuck all is happening. These corrections, sure, we're down from the 190s down to the 130s. And sure, if you're on the short side, that's fine. But if you're long focused, if you're portfolio focused, if you're spot focused, none of this matters. Right? This is all irrelevant stuff. These are all great higher time frame retests. These are all very strong risk reward, higher time frame long positions. And the market's set up very, very nicely on that front. So we don't need to overthink these markets. And when we start to get into that overthinking mode, or where we start to change bias very easily, it's usually because we're locked into those lower time frames, and therefore the chop is affecting us. So the chop is affecting us not only from a trading balance perspective, but also mentally and psychologically, because we can't see the market for what it's worth anymore in the simple nature of it. And it's the same with that BTC chart we did right at the start. BTC, very easy, strong, higher time frame, uptrending market. Okay, lots of other markets, ETH, Sol, higher time frame support retests of very significant levels. Get rid of everything that goes on in between. Get rid of everything that goes on the 5-minute and 15-minute time frames, and the market structures, and the market looks very good for a lot of these areas. And so really that is where the focus is going to be. And we'll take a quick look at Fartcoin as well through here, just to kind of give a bit more of a recap on this as well. And can see that Fartcoin running back through one, continuing this choppy back and forth nature, very aggressive on the upside, very aggressive on the sell-offs. But again, this market on the higher time frames, like the 3-day, still looks in an exceptionally good position. These RSI 50 resets, especially when they come mid-trend, are usually very, very powerful for continuation to the upside. I still think that this is a market that's going to reach obscene numbers. It wouldn't surprise me to be sitting here in a few months' time and talking to you about Fartcoin at $5. Really wouldn't surprise me to see any of that on the go through here. So where we are right now, I think that these markets still look very, very good. Try and keep the simplicity. I know it's difficult when the market feels as though it's not offering you value, and you need to dive down to the lower time frames to try and find it, and then you end up getting chopped up, and then you start losing your focus on what the market looks like, bullish or bearish or whatever it might be. But the reality from my perspective is that these markets look very, very strong through here from higher time frame retest perspectives. When you start diving across as well into some of the crypto stock side of things, not sure if anybody's aware of the strength of Coinbase recently, but Coinbase is trading at the highs over the last basically 4 years. So Coinbase is in a very, very strong position through here. MSTR is still doing its higher time frame consolidation through here. Even some markets like the miners, like Riot, are starting to pick back up again. So we have a really good TradFi side of things. And obviously we've seen what's been going on with Circle as well lately. So Circle has just been kind of, growth after growth, IPO at $31. And so, 10xing off the back of that. It's a very, very strong environment overall for crypto. And what we're yet to see is that movement on the actual crypto coin side of things. We've seen it on the TradFi side of things. We've seen TradFi markets that aren't related to crypto be very strong, fresh highs for the NASDAQ, fresh highs for NVIDIA. And we're yet to see that translate to crypto itself. But my guess and my thought and my feeling is that this week will be a green week.